Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every person's life when they begin to feel the weight of the world pressing in. We strive, we hustle, we chase dreams that sometimes feel hollow the moment we reach them. We work hard to climb the ladders of success, only to realize they were leaning against the wrong wall. There's a reason for this emptiness, this quiet unrest that lingers even in our happiest moments. It's because true purpose, the kind that fills you from within, does not come from this world. It comes when you put God first. You see, purpose isn't found in possessions. It's not hidden inside a bank account or a job title or how many followers someone has on social media. Those things are temporary. They fade. But the purpose that endures, the kind that makes you wake up every day with peace and clarity, that comes from aligning your heart with the one who created it. When you put God first, you begin to understand who you are, and more importantly, whose you are. There's a divine order to life that many people miss. We often put our careers first, our relationships second, and our faith last, if at all. And then we wonder why nothing fits together. It's like trying to assemble a puzzle with pieces missing. But when you begin with God, when you place Him at the center of everything, suddenly the pieces start to align. The things you once chased begin to chase you. You stop living for approval and start living with purpose. Putting God first doesn't mean you'll have a perfect life. It doesn't mean everything will be easy. But it does mean your life will have meaning. You'll begin to see with new eyes. What once looked like failure will now look like a lesson. What once seemed like rejection will be revealed as redirection. Because when God is first, everything else falls into place. Not always how we expect, but always how we need. Many people are searching for answers in all the wrong places. They turn to distractions, addictions, and temporary highs, trying to fill a spiritual void with material things. But no achievement, no relationship, no lifestyle can fill the space that was designed for God alone. That void is sacred. It is where your purpose lies. And until you allow God to take His rightful place in your life, that space will always feel incomplete. To put God first is to say, I trust you more than I trust myself. I believe your plan is greater than my ambition. I choose your path over my pride. It's an act of surrender, yes, but also one of strength, because true power comes when you let go of control and hand it over to the one who holds the entire universe in His hands. When you wake up and put God first in your thoughts, your plans, your actions, you begin to live differently. You speak with intention. You love without condition. You walk with conviction. You're no longer moved by the world's chaos because your spirit is anchored in something eternal. People may not understand your peace. They may question your choices. But deep down, you'll know, this is who I was created to be. And here's what's truly beautiful. When you put God first, He doesn't just change your direction. He changes your desires. You begin to crave things that matter. You value time over fame, impact over image, and truth over trends. You start seeing people not as problems, but as souls. You live not for applause, but for a higher purpose. To serve, to give, to love, to reflect His light in a dark world. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, put God first. Not when it's convenient. Not when it's easy. Not just on Sundays, but in everything. Put Him first in your decisions, your relationships, your finances, your goals, your dreams. Because when you do, your life becomes more than just a sequence of events. It becomes a calling, a testimony, a light. And that's when you'll finally understand what it means to live with true purpose. Not a purpose you create, but one you discover when you decide to put God first. Ladies and gentlemen, obedience is not a word we often celebrate in today's world. In fact, many see it as a sign of weakness or blind submission. But true obedience, the kind that is rooted in faith, is not weakness at all. It is one of the greatest acts of strength a person can demonstrate. When you choose to obey God, especially when you don't understand what He's doing, you are declaring, I trust your will more than I trust my own understanding. And that trust opens the door to blessing, to clarity, and to a life led by divine direction rather than confusion. Think about this. We often say we want God to guide us, to show us our path, to bless our efforts. But how often do we follow where He leads? How often do we listen when His voice contradicts our comfort or challenges our preferences? Obedience means stepping forward even when the ground looks shaky. It means saying yes to God even when the world says no. It means doing what is right not because it's popular, but because it's commanded. There is a powerful truth found in Scripture. Obedience is better than sacrifice. That means God is not looking for grand gestures or impressive performances. He's looking for hearts that say, here I am, use me, lead me, I will follow. When we obey, even in the small things, we show that our faith is more than words. It becomes real. It becomes active. You see, obedience is not about legalism. It's not about following rules just for the sake of checking boxes. It's about relationship. When you love someone, you want to honor them. You want to listen to them. You want to align your actions with their heart. That's what obedience is to God. It's not duty, it's devotion. It's a daily choice to live in harmony with His will. And the amazing thing is that God never asks for obedience without reason. Every command He gives, every prompting He places in your heart is for your good. Even if it doesn't make sense in the moment. Even if it feels like a step backward. God sees the entire picture, while we only see a corner of the canvas. What looks like a delay might be divine preparation. What feels like a loss may actually be protection. And what seems like silence may be God working behind the scenes. Throughout history, the lives of the faithful have always been marked by obedience. When Noah was told to build an ark, there was no sign of rain. When Abraham was told to leave his homeland, He didn't even know where he was going. When Moses was told to lead, he doubted his ability to speak. Yet they obeyed, and their obedience became the pathway through which God did the miraculous. Today, God is still calling people to obey. He's still inviting hearts to trust, to follow, to surrender their plans for something greater. And that call is personal. He may be asking you to forgive someone who hurt you, to leave behind a habit that is holding you back, to pursue a purpose that feels scary or uncertain. The question is, will you obey? The enemy wants to convince you that obedience will limit you, that it will restrict your freedom, rob you of your joy, or cost you too much. But the opposite is true. Disobedience is what keeps us bound. It's what leads us into regret, confusion, and chaos. Obedience, however, brings peace. It unlocks direction. It opens the door to the kind of freedom that the world cannot give and cannot take away. You may not see the results of your obedience immediately. Sometimes the blessing comes later. But rest assured, it always comes. God honors those who honor Him. He rewards faithfulness, even in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. Every time you say yes to Him, heaven takes notice. So, ladies and gentlemen, choose obedience. Not just in the big decisions, but in the daily ones. In how you speak, how you treat others, how you spend your time. Let your life become a living example of what it means to follow God fully. Because when you do, you'll find a life that isn't just successful in the eyes of the world. It's significant in the eyes of eternity. And that, more than anything, is what it means to walk in God's direction. And blessing, ladies and gentlemen, life is not always gentle. It tests you. It bends you. It sometimes even breaks you. Storms come without warning. Trials arrive uninvited. And heartbreak, loss, failure, they don't ask permission before knocking on your door. But in those moments of pain, uncertainty, and chaos, there is one truth that remains unshakable. When God is your foundation, when you've built your life by putting Him first, you will not be destroyed. You may stumble, you may cry, but you will not be consumed. You see, many people try to build their strength through the world's promises, through money, through reputation, through intellect, through control. But all of those things are temporary. Money can disappear. Reputation can be ruined overnight. Even the most well-thought-out plans can fall apart. And when that happens, people often feel like they've lost everything. Not because the storm was too strong, but because their foundation was too weak. The strength that truly endures doesn't come from what you have. It comes from who you trust. When you put God first, you are saying, no matter what comes, I know who is with me. You're choosing to root yourself in something eternal, something greater than the ups and downs of life. That doesn't mean you won't feel the storm, but it means the storm won't define you. It won't shake your identity, and it won't break your purpose. There is a kind of peace that only comes when your heart is anchored in faith. It's a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. It's not tied to how well things are going. It's the peace of knowing that you're not alone, that God is for you, with you, and working through every season. When you wake up in the morning and choose to seek Him first, when you open your day with prayer instead of pressure, when you trust His plan even when it contradicts yours, you begin to build a strength the world cannot offer. Many people think strength means having all the answers, but real strength often means being able to say, I don't understand this right now, but I still trust God. It means worshiping through the tears. It means standing when it would be easier to quit. It means choosing hope when the future looks uncertain. And that kind of strength doesn't just appear overnight. It's cultivated in the quiet moments, in the daily decisions to put God above everything else, your emotions, your logic, your timeline. When you live a God-first life, your strength is not dependent on your resources. It's dependent on your relationship. That relationship is where your courage is born. It's where your endurance grows. You stop reacting to life out of fear and start responding out of faith. And people will notice. They'll see something in you that doesn't shake under pressure, something they can't quite explain. That's what happens when your soul is rooted in something unshakable. God never promised that life would be easy. But He did promise that He would never leave you. And if you hold on to that, not just in the good times, but especially in the hard ones, you'll discover a kind of empower that no storm can steal. It's the power to keep walking when you feel weak. It's the power to forgive when you've been wronged. It's the power to keep believing even when you don't yet see the breakthrough. Building a God-first life is not a one-time event. It's a daily pursuit. It's about showing up every morning with open hands and a willing heart, saying, God, strengthen me, use me. And when you do that, you're not just surviving life. You're rising through it. You're becoming a living testimony that faith works, that hope is real, that God is still in the business of taking broken people and building them into beacons of strength. So, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you, build your strength on something that lasts. Don't put your hope in things that shift with the wind. Don't build your life on applause or achievement. Build it on truth. Build it on faith. Build it on a relationship with the one who never fails. When God is your foundation, no matter how hard the wind blows, you'll still be standing. And that, my friends, is the kind of strength the world needs to see. Not just strength in muscles or in words, but strength in spirit. The kind that only comes from putting God first, ladies and gentlemen. As we come to the end of this message, I leave you with this truth. The world will always try to offer you substitutes. Quick fixes, temporary pleasures, fleeting successes. But only one thing can truly anchor your life, your heart and your purpose. Putting God first. When you put Him first, you don't just live. You live with meaning. You don't just survive storms. You rise through them. You don't just chase goals. You walk in calling. The peace you're looking for, the clarity you crave, the strength you need. It all begins when you surrender your plans and seek His. So make the decision today, not tomorrow. Not when things get easier. Not when everything is perfect. Choose now, right where you are, to put God first. In your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your heart. Because when God is first, everything else falls into place. In His time, in His way, and always for your good. May you walk boldly. May you live purposefully. And may you always keep God at the center of it all. Thank you.